Emily and Daniel lose their home. On the final night, they sit on the porch together, holding hands, staring at the house they once believed was their future. Tears fall as a moving truck waits by the curb. The neighborhood stays silent. Their dream has been stolen, not by strangers, but by those who were supposed to protect the community. The couple drives away, broken but still holding each other, vowing never to let anyone crush their spirit again. The honeymoon phase of their new home lasted only a few weeks. Emily had spent her afternoons planting flowers along the edge of the lawn, bright red roses and soft lavender. Daniel had fixed up their old car and proudly parked it in the driveway. Life felt almost perfect. Then, one morning, a white envelope appeared on their doorstep. It carried the bold letterhead of the Homeowners Association. At first, Daniel laughed. "Probably just a welcome note," he said. But as he opened it, his smile disappeared. It wasn't a welcome, it was a warning. The HOA claimed their mailbox was not painted in the approved color and demanded it be corrected immediately. Emily frowned. "It's just a mailbox. Who cares about the color?" They brushed it off as a small issue, but within a week, another letter came. This time, it targeted Emily's roses. According to the HOA, the flowers were not approved vegetation and had to be removed. Emily's eyes filled with tears as she read the words. "They want me to destroy the one thing that makes this house feel like home." Daniel tried to stay calm. "We'll sort this out, Em. It has to be some kind of mistake." But the letters kept coming. A complaint about Daniel's car being too old. A warning that the grass was half an inch too tall. Each envelope carried not just demands, but threats of fines. The home they once thought was their sanctuary was starting to feel like a cage. Emily and Daniel began to realize that the HOA wasn't there to protect the neighborhood. It was there to control it. The letters didn't stop. In fact, they multiplied. Every week brought a new complaint, each more absurd than the last. One morning, Daniel walked outside to find a bright red notice taped to their front door. "Violation, immediate attention required." This time, the HOA claimed the couple's trash cans had been left visible for too long after pickup day. Another fine, another mark against them. Emily was already crumbling under the stress. Her roses, the pride of her little garden, had been ripped out after the second notice. She sat on the porch steps one evening, holding a torn root in her hand, tears streaking her face. "They're taking everything from us, piece by piece," she whispered. Daniel clenched his fists, furious but powerless. "I'll fix it, Em. I'll fix all of it. We can't let them win." But the truth was, they were losing. The fines piled up. $50 here, $100 there. Soon it was thousands. Their savings account, once meant for home improvements and a future family, was being drained to satisfy the HOA's endless demands. To make matters worse, the HOA president, Mr. Carter, seemed to take a personal pleasure in their suffering. He drove by slowly in his polished SUV, smirking when he saw Daniel mowing the lawn late at night or Emily repainting the mailbox for the third time. At the next HOA board meeting, when Daniel tried to speak, Carter cut him off coldly. "Rules are rules. If you don't like them, maybe this community isn't for you." Neighbors avoided eye contact. Some whispered support in private, but no one dared speak out publicly. The couple felt isolated, targeted, and alone. What was once their dream home was now suffocating them. The walls that once echoed with laughter now carried silence and stress. Nights were sleepless, days were full of anxiety, and love itself began to feel fragile under the crushing weight of control. The pressure had reached its peak. By now, the couple had received more than a dozen fines, adding up to several $1,000s. Their mailbox had been painted 3 times. Their lawn was trimmed to perfection, yet they still received notices claiming it was non-compliant. Then came the final blow, a letter threatening foreclosure if the fines weren't paid in full within 30 days. Emily sat frozen at the kitchen table, staring at the letter. "They can take our home, Daniel." Daniel's voice cracked as he answered. "They can't do this. This is our life, our dream. They can't just steal it." For the first time, he felt a fire stronger than fear. He refused to watch Emily's spirit break any further. Together, they decided, they would face the HOA board directly and fight back. At the next community meeting, the room was filled with board members, neighbors, and the smug president, Mr. Carter. The couple walked in hand, their faces pale but determined. When Daniel spoke, his voice trembled at first but grew louder with each word. "We came here to build a life, not to be destroyed by constant harassment. We've paid, we've begged, we've complied with every demand, and still it's never enough. You don't want order. You want control. You want power." Gasps filled the room. Some neighbors shifted uncomfortably. Others nodded quietly in agreement. Emily stood beside him, tears in her eyes, her voice shaking as she added, "This was our dream home, but you've turned it into a nightmare. You've taken our joy, our peace, and you're trying to take our home. How much more do you want to take from us?" For the first time, the board was silent. Carter leaned back in his chair, smirking, but the room no longer felt completely on his side. A ripple of sympathy stirred among the neighbors. That night, Emily and Daniel left the meeting feeling both terrified and strangely empowered. They knew the fight was far from over, but at least they had finally spoken. Weeks passed after the meeting. For a brief moment, Emily and Daniel thought maybe the HOA would back down. But the letters didn't stop. The fines didn't disappear. And the foreclosure threat still hung over their heads like a storm cloud ready to break. Daniel met with lawyers, searched for loopholes, tried to negotiate, but the HOA was relentless. The president, Mr. Carter, seemed determined to make an example out of them. Finally, the day came. A final notice arrived, cold, unforgiving, and absolute. They had lost. Their home will be taken from them. On their last evening in the house, Emily and Daniel sat together on the porch steps. The same steps where, months earlier, they had laughed about decorating the porch swing, where Emily had dreamed of roses, where they had whispered about the future. Now those dreams lay shattered. A moving truck sat waiting at the curb. The house, their forever home, stood behind them like an empty shell. Emily leaned her head on Daniel's shoulder, tears streaming down her face. "We gave everything we had. Why wasn't it enough?" Daniel squeezed her hand, his own eyes wet. "Because this was never about rules, Emily. It was about power. They can take this house, but they can't take us. As long as we have each other, we still have a future." The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of red and gold. They stood, took one last look at the house they had once called home, and walked toward the truck. As they drove away, the neighborhood stayed silent. No one came out to say goodbye. No one fought for them. The HOA had won. But at what cost? For Emily and Daniel, the dream was gone, but their love remained. And somewhere deep inside, they carried a promise. Never again would they allow anyone to steal their happiness so easily.